As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Very good morning to all the participants from abroad and India. Very happy New Year 2022. Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology Meerut, deemed to be university, and its centers of excellence, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications, in association with the Asian Rural Development Organization, ARDO, New Delhi, organized this weekly international webinar series on open source digital technology towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, 1st January 2022. On behalf of the Honorable Chancellor, His Excellency the Secretary General, ARDO, Honorable Vice Chancellor, the committee members of the university, and on my behalf, and as Professor Emeritus and Chairman of the Centers of Excellence, Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Studies and Applications, and Center for Health Informatics and Computing. We extend our New Year greetings to 2022 to all the participants from India and abroad. Let me welcome our guest speaker of today's webinar for the 57th edition of the webinar series on the topic Pragmatic Ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Shri Satyanarayan Banwarilal Dangayach is the founder trustee, Innovative Thought Forum, Ahmedabad, State of Gujarat, National Vice President of Arogya Bharati, and former Chairman, Healwell International Limited, State of Gujarat. I wish to inform the participants and the guest speaker that under this webinar series, these two centers of excellence, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications, have organized 56 lectures so far. Satyanarayan ji, can you adjust your photograph? You're on live. Your head is not coming. Your face is not
coming now.
No, yeah.
Is it
okay,
coming?
fine. Okay.
Yeah.
In our series, these two centers of excellence, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Studies and Application, have organized 56 webinar series so far, namely Open Technologies to Provision, Simple and Economical IT Infrastructure, a roadmap for students using free and open source software and reaching goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Free and open source software and industrial IoTs for SMEs. Open data platform for smart digital government. Technology imperatives, make in India for self-reliance. Edge artificial intelligence. Data governance for self-reliant India. Digital India, transforming governance and society. India's email service, citizen@indiamail.com in 22 constitutionally recognized languages. Ecosystem architecture for digital transformation. Education system cyber critical infrastructure. Seizing opportunities in open innovation and value creation network in the digital world for self-reliant economy by Dr. Jabamale Vinanji Arachi, former principal advisor to the Director General UNIDO Vienna. Ensuring food safety and compliance through technology. Digital India, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing in India. Technology investment in agriculture value chain, role of foreign direct investments. Entrepreneurship and skill development and artificial intelligence design pathways. The rise of platform economy, revisiting value chain governance, era of automation, industrial robotics, and Industry 4.0, Indo-German perspective of technology transfer, skill gap analysis, and opportunities. Role of artificial intelligence in healthcare, current developments in diagnosis and vaccine research, digital agri-tech and agri-startup perspective, health informatics network value chain, health system, e-health systems, and beyond, leveraging emerging technology for ensuring transparent and traceable agri and food supply chains. Unleash the power of citizen development for enterprises software development. E-governance models towards a sustained quality service to the citizen backed up by technology. Indian MSMEs to adopt in 4.0 technology capabilities, urgent need for mentorship and accelerator program. Building public digital platform using microservices and APIs. Health informatics network value chain, early childhood development and learning. Health informatics network value chain, a healthcare startup perspective. Health informatics network value chain, clinical AI, interface between machine learning and health informatics. It is necessary in every primary health center, both in public health and animal health. Health informatics network value chain, so importance of social medicine and community health in the times of health emergency. Gravity filter, a simple low-cost solution to the drinking water treatment in rural India. Open source GovTech startups empowering growth with automation. Digital transformation in small enterprises and small businesses of India, challenges and opportunities. National Digital Twine Program, need for a robust geospatial infrastructure. Industry 4.0 in MSMEs, benefits of indigenously developed CollabCAD, software services from National Informatics Center. Mass serialization and anti-counterfeiting solutions to fight illicit trade. Cyber security risk, challenges and solutions, intelligence approach to reduce cyber risk. New Internet IPv6 root server toward Atmanirbhar Connected Bharat. India startup, reflections and possible policy interventions needed for scaling up to Gram Panchayat. Blockchain and crypto for digital assets platform, pathways for global trade. Robot as a service, leverage technology to solve enterprise challenges. Space startups, connecting to international markets with emerging business models. Enabling technologies for future vision. Vivekananda Secondary Education and Skills Development Mega Project, its potential impact on rural entrepreneurship and the rural economy in India. The Sports Grail, a digital sports media platform, and prospects for Indian sports industry sustainability model at global level. Pharma 4.0, Industry 4.0 application to pharmaceutical manufacturing, path to a digital transformation. Accelerate and scale non-linear growth through partner ecosystem. Technology renaissance and the human capital, a perspective. Health informatics network value chain, medical outreach, challenges, vice versus potential. Beyond COVID-19, revitalizing micro and small enterprises, project management essentials, launchpad for future CEOs and startup founders beyond. Society 5.0, a new society beyond Industry 4.0 and post-COVID-19. Smart village community, the African ICT, IoT lessons. Digital economy, ways and means to protect and empower for self-reliance. Today is the 57th edition of this very important webinar series. We will have the talk by our guest speaker, Shri Satyanarayan Banwarilal Dangayach, Founder Trustee, Innovative Thought Forum, Ahmedabad, State of Gujarat, National Vice President of Arogya Bharati, and former Chairman, Healwell International Limited, state of Gujarat, on a very important topic, pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Pragmatic means practical, realistic, hard-headed, hard-nosed, no nonsense, logical, rational, sensible, reasonable, and down to earth, etc., etc. Atmanirbhar Bharat, the road ahead. This is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, of making India a self-reliant nation rested on 5 I's: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovations, and based on 5 pillars, namely economy, quantum jump; infrastructure, one that represents modern India; system, 21st century technology driven; vibrant demography and demand, whereby the strength of our demand and supply chain should be utilized to full capacity. Vocal for local is for global. Vocal for local for making it for global. The Digital India program aims to transform India to a knowledge-based economy and a digitally empowered society. On 20th February 2019, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology published a report titled India's $1 trillion Digital Opportunity in collaboration with McKinsey and Company. This report identified about 30 digital themes, if scaled up nationally, can accelerate India's progress in 9 key areas. I also would like to highlight some of the recommendations from Geospatial Earth Report 2021. It says India's geospatial economy is currently valued at 38,972 crores, inclusive of 14,000 crores worth of domestic market and 12,000 crores worth of export of geospatial services and 11,000 crores worth of government spending on national geospatial agencies. By 2025, if India implements 3 policies currently in the draft stage, namely National Geospatial Policy 2021, Space-Based Remote Sensing Policy 2020, and SAT-NOW Policy 2021, the Indian geospatial economy would gain significant momentum and touch 63,100 crores by 2025 from 38,972 crores. Evolving role of national geospatial organizations and the removal of the L1 category for financial bid evaluation in tender process and strategic push by Indian government to adopt the latest geospatial technologies will drive the Indian geospatial economy by 2025. Digital world, the rise of platform economy, it is emerging. It is a digital ecosystems are essential for digital transformation in the digital world. Few frontier technology in digital ecosystem in the planet are cloud computing, mobile phones, IoT platforms, social media, GPS, advanced human-computer interactions, authentications and intrusion detection, 3D printing, smart sensors, augmented reality, and analysis of big data and advanced algorithm and user data collection. According to the report in 2020, 10 emerging technologies which will make a very effective impact, which are artificial intelligence, 5G, IoT, serverless computing, biometrics, blockchain, natural language processing, and quantum computing. Digital transformation is based on building public digital platform using microservices and APIs. Our ecosystem is as follows. We would like to achieve agriculture 4.0. We would like to achieve industry 4.0 for all 63 million small and micro medium enterprises. We would like to achieve society 5.0. We would like to achieve agriculture 4.0 for about 14.5 crore operational holders in the country, out of which 85% are small and marginal operational holders. On 4th December 2021, in this international webinar series, we had the talk on Society 5.0, a new society beyond Industry 4.0 and post-COVID-19 by Mr. Tomio Isoge, former Managing Director, Sharp India Limited. What is Society 5.0? According to the publication by the Japanese government, like Germany is driving Industry 4.0, Japan is driving Society 5.0. Society 5.0 was proposed in the 5th Science and Technology Basic Plan as a future society that Japan should aspire to. It follows Hunting Society, that is Society 1.0, Agriculture Society, Society 2.0, Industrial Society, Society 3.0, Information Society, Society 5.0, and taking from cyberspace to physical space is Society 5.0, which balances economic development and solve social issues. On 18th December 2021, Mr. Chandra Pillai talked on Smart Village, Smart Community, the African ICT IoT lesson. And he discussed how a smart village and community led by technology supported and are data-driven smart farming, integrated and self-sustainable ecosystem-driven acropolitan enclaves. We heard about only metropolitan enclaves. He talks about acropolitan enclaves and integrated with both forward and backward farm extension services. If this is done, then it will offer an integrated and self-sustainable economy, self-dependency, education, healthcare, safety, security, and user-engaging systems linked to the national and grid economy and an acropolitan community society living in smart enclaves. And we also have the report of doubling farmers' income by 2022, report 2018. I was associated as the group leader for 2 volumes, volume 11, which talked about empowering the farmers through extension and knowledge dissemination. Volume 12B is on digital technology in agriculture. We recommended 7 mission mode programs. If this is operationalized at farm level, Indian agriculture will become agriculture 4.0. Let us come to today's topic, pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. According to the synopsis given by our honorable speaker, he says, we are celebrating 75th years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. That has been a mix of several success and failures. Despite freedom on the physical plane, we are continuing to suffer from mental and intellectual inadequacies, resulting into adherence to the thoughts and practices from the Western world, either in pristine form or modified versions. Our inability to aim for India-centric economic policy is clear from the fact that Arthashastra of Kaudilya, now lauded as the founder of modern economics, is absent from libraries and curricula of all economics and business schools of India. And he also, talks that in the field of finance, we are oblivious to the drainage of our wealth in offshore tax havens controlled by old colonizers and lack the courage to question defective financial architecture which is harming us. In the backdrop of above developments, clarion call by our honorable Prime Minister for Atmanirbhar Bharat is timely and laudable. So today's topic, pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat, is very important. He also has done a lot of work as per his synopsis that as a thought is needed to be translated into action, his forum, Innovative Thought Forum, joined with Swadeshi Jagran Manch, arranged a lot of roundtables on the theme of pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat on various subjects. and to make India stronger. And he quotes many of the articles which have been published in about more than 12 chapters. He talks about utilization of wastelands by his own article, and PPP model for MSMEs, bringing India's unorganized dairy farmers into mainstream, fly ash as a resource material, digital literacy for India. As an overarching theme of our programs related to increasing income of farmers, a feasible suggestion also he suggested: boost to millets and medicinal plants, boost to allied activities like dairy, poultry, fisheries, and sericulture, renewable energy-based microgrids for rural enterprises, skilling for agriculture and allied activities, digital literacy for enabling use of technology. The synopsis still highlights we are still suffering from colonization on mental, financial, digital planes. Rich and powerful nations are continuing to control us through financial architecture and global institutions to their benefit. We have to think intelligently and work diligently for holistic development and creating Atmanirbhar Bharat. With this background, let us now turn to the address by our guest speaker, Shri Satyanarayan Banwarilal, Dangayach, founder trustee, Innovative Thought Forum, Ahmedabad, state of Gujarat, on the very important topic, pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. This topic will motivate and galvanize the participants watching our telecast through facebook.com/Shobhit University India or youtube.com/Shobhit University in or linkedin.com/company/Shobhit-University for motivating them to adapt pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Let me introduce our guest speaker to the audience.
Hello.
Shri Satyanarayan Banwarilal Dangayach is a distinguished alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. After spending 45 years in corporate world in leadership position, he is now busy as founder trustee of Innovative Thought Forum, an India-centric Think Plus Act tank, and as national vice president of Arogya Bharati. Shri Dangayach is an independent director on the boards of Gujarat Mineral Development Corporation Limited, Gujarat Industries Power Company Limited, and Gujarat Alkalis and Chemical Limited. He is also on the board of governance of Indian Institute of Management, Udaipur, and Auro University, Surat. Shri Dangayach is an ardent supporter of homeopathy and is a patron member of Global Homeopathy Foundation. He was actively involved with the homeopathy industry and was chairman of Healwell International Limited until a few years ago. Shri Dangayach is a strong proponent of integrating all health and medicinal sciences for improvement of both public and personal health. He has been pushing for a much larger role for Ayush everywhere. He is a passionate proponent of green, clean, and sustainable development. Shri, he is a passionate proponent of green, clean, and sustainable development. He has been advocating integration of renewables in the energy mix for improving access, availability, and affordability of energy to all in India. He views waste as a resource at a wrong place and has been an ardent supporter of waste to wealth creation. He has also been focusing on micro enterprises and is evolving simple modules like Vyapar Sutra for empowering them. Shri Dangayach has recently compiled an anthology on pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat that contains articles of 75 India-centric thought leaders. With this, I would like to request our honorable speaker to deliver his talk in the international webinar series on open source digital technologies for self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is being run in association with African Asian Rural Development Organization on a very important topic, pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Over to you, sir.
Nam-
for your kind
Namask-
address.
Namaskar and a very good morning and a very happy new year to everybody who is there with me today. Professor Moni, Shobhit University, and CITSA, as well as AARDO have really obliged me by giving an opportunity to share my thoughts on the important topic of pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat under the banner of International Webinar Series on Open Source Digital Technologies for Self-Reliant India or Atmanirbhar Bharat. I really feel very much thankful to Professor Moni to give an update on what has happened under the series in approximately 55 or 56 webinars. I am indeed impressed with the work that has been done by Shobhit University and the Centers of Excellence under the stewardship of Professor Moni by inviting uh, many experts from all over the world to share their thoughts. The kind of list of topics that have been covered are indeed impressive and laudable. And I wish that uh, our largest think tank in the country, or the most important think tank in the country for transformation of India, called Niti Aayog, goes through the deliberations and recommendations to evolve a path that is really going to be good for our nation. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, has given us a vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and he has also talked about a variety of things, including vocal for local. If we go into the background, we need, to ask ourselves, what is exactly the meaning of the term Atmanirbhar? I have interacted with many sagacious and wise people, and I would like to say that there is a concurrence in the thinking of most of the, I would say, learned people, and that is Atmanirbharta is always from within. Atmanirbharta starts from within, and therefore an Atmanirbhar Bharat has to be a confident Bharat. It has to be a self-reliant Bharat. It has to obviously evolve a path that is going to be suited to our nation or our people first. When we look at the last 75 years of our independence, which we are celebrating now, uh, Amrit in the form of Amrit Mahotsav, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We will obviously be talking about all achievements in all walks of life. But the truth of the matter is, and as a matter of fact, say the honest analysis or dissection will certainly tell us that we have suffered several weaknesses, certain several failures, and we have had successes. When we got independence, naturally we got physical independence, we got a kind of a freedom of speech at that point of time, and we got freedom which is supposed to be mainly in the physical arena. But believe me or not, if you probe deeper, you will find that we are still colonized mentally. We are still colonized now digitally, and we will be probably not colonized, or we are already colonized financially. Why do I say this? Now let us look at a few developments in the recent past. We have just now seen in the field of healthcare where vaccination is something which is being promoted, which is being touted, which is being called as something which the modern medicinal or modern allopathic world has given to us. But this is far from the real truth. As a matter of fact, vaccination was very much in vogue. It was practiced and it was known and it was obviously available to India or Bharat or Indians in the 5th and 6th century AD. Vaccination, which is a kind of inoculation, was something which was routinely done here in India. And from India, it traveled all the way to Europe over maybe several centuries. And the patent was taken by Dr. Jenner or Mr. Jenner. And therefore, what happened was that vaccination is now called as something that has come from the West. We look at the foundation of the entire political economy or the economy, and we will say certainly maybe be able to probably find that there is, as a matter of fact, a wrong kind of propaganda that is being carried out. We are all told that Adam Smith is the founder of the modern economics. Adam Smith, who wrote Wealth of Nations, is supposed to be the creator of capitalism. And when the problems with capitalism arose, we found, say, communism coming into being. But these two paths have been cornerstones of the modern economy. As an Atmanirbhar, as an independent autonomous thinker, we are certainly tempted to ask ourselves whether this is the truth. And now we are coming to understand that prosperous and advanced India before Christ was having superior models of economics. We are all aware about Kautilya's Arthashastra or Chanakya's Arthashastra, which unfortunately is still not a standard kind of a book in the libraries or in the institutions of higher learning, such as the management schools or the economic schools. My friend, Professor Devdar, wrote a very beautiful book on economics called the Economic Sutra, in which he has brought out the fact that Chanakya or Kautilya admitted in his Arthashastra that he was only a compiler, he was only a collector of various theories and thoughts that preceded him. So what he said was that I am now putting together all kinds of thoughts in economics, all kinds of thoughts in political administration that are going to help India or the other nations. So Chanakya, who was probably there in the 5th century BC or 4th century BC, that means around 2500 years ago, was, as a matter of fact, a writer, or you can say collector of a book or an interpreter of the knowledge in Arthashastra, which had a whole lot of you may say practices and thoughts that were there in ancient India. This is something very interesting, because now a very extensive amount of work is being done in a lot of places. Professor Balbir Singh Sihar from, I think, Stanford University, USA, has written wonderful books, and he has been able to demonstrate very clearly that Chanakya or Kautilya was, as a matter of fact, the true founder of modern economics. All kinds of, say, thoughts that are today being, or all kinds of theories that are being talked about, were there in Arthashastra, including compound interest, including, the wages, including bonus, including, say, maybe taxes, including, say, import taxes, including, say, maybe local taxes, the mechanism collection, the kind of, the penalties, etc., etc., etc. But because of, say, the Western influence, we have still not taken cognizance, and we have not still drawn a kind of support from this to evolve a path that is going to be not relevant to us. I remember going through a beautiful book that was, again, you may say compilation or original essays by Dattopanji Thengdi. Dattopanji Thengdi was one of the probably most eloquent ideologues, one of the most learned ideologues in the Rashtriya Swayamsevak structure. And he wrote this book called Third Way by saying that neither the capitalism nor communism as given to us by the Western, say Europe, or by the US or by the Western world is appropriate. We have to come up with something, which is going to be appropriate for India. And that's why he wrote a number of, say, articles in this particular book called Third Way by Dattopanji Thengdi. When Modi ji talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, Swadeshi Jagran Manch, which was again a kind of an organization created by Dattopanji Thengdi, who is also credited with Bharatiya Kisan Sangh, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, and many other bodies within the country, talked to me about organizing a kind of a deliberation or discussion around Atmanirbhar Bharat or Vocal for Local. I spent around 45 years in corporate life, and
Dangayach, can you adjust your camera slightly? Okay.
is it all right
Okay,
now?
good. Okay, fine.
So I think I will not shift. Uh, so I spent 45 years in the corporate world, and after my retirement in the year 2017, I started Innovative Thought Forum, which is an India-centric thinking and action platform, which deliberates or which is required to discuss various things that can be helpful to our nation and then go for pilot implementation. Swadeshi Jagran Manch was known to me, and therefore they talked to me that we should have a kind of program around uh, Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I then suggested to Swadeshi Jagran Manch that let's find out something which is going to be implementable, which is going to be doable, which is going to be feasible, and therefore all our attention should be on discussing practical or pragmatic ways. And that was the genesis of the phrase or the term pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat, under which we did 12 different, you may say, roundtables, starting with foreign trade, internal trade and e-commerce, finance and taxation, health and wellness, skilling and employment, education and research, environment and climate change, energy and water, farming, fertilizers and foods, land and infrastructure, defense and space, technology and entrepreneurship. Now, these 12 roundtables had 25 experts from each of the fields, a few people remain in common, and it became so interesting and so very possibly fruitful that we thought that it would be worthwhile compiling such thoughts in the form of an anthology, and that is how 75 India-centric thought leaders gave their views, each article being around 1500 to 2000 words, which we put together, or which I put together along with Mr. Anil Sharma of Swadeshi Jagran Manch in the form of an anthology called Pragmatic Ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Each of those articles is giving some kind of a direction which is feasible or pragmatic, but I would like to take a few examples to show the kind of thought process which is very, very different than the classical or the conventional maybe economists or the environmentalists or others. I contributed an article which is utilization of wasted lands, which can be a great game changer. Now, the term wasted lands is different than wastelands. Wasted lands are good lands which have not been in use for last 20 years and which will not be put to use for another 20 years. If such good lands which are not being utilized, as a matter of fact, they are not contributing anything to the economy. Now, who are the people owning the responsibility or owning the titles of such wasted lands? Government of India, after Modi came to power, had done a work on wasted lands with central government public sector enterprises, CPSE. And that exercise went on for around 2 to 3 years. And I believe after a lot of persuasion and pressure, the details were secured from all these central government public sector enterprises, CPSEs, to tell the PMO as to how much land will they be needing over the next 10 years, and also indicate what is to be done for the remaining of the lands. There was a report published thereafter, and it was found that over 10 lakh acres of good lands was there as surplus or as wasted land with these CPSEs at that point of time, leaving aside the railways and defense. This is a colossal figure, because when you look at the land footprinting for a number of activities, you will find that you don't require so much of land, even if houses are to be provided to all the people in the country, and if the industrialization with a 10% CAGR is achieved by the industry. It was found by the government of India, and it was found during our deliberations that land footprinting is not done. Let me give an example to you what I mean by that. When the Ministry of Housing talked about a shortage of housing, they talked about a figure of around 4 crore houses. That is going back 7-8 years. And now they talk about a housing shortage of 2 crore units in the country. So if you look at the land needed for making, let's see, 1,000 houses, you will be able to come to understand that even with something like 20,000 hectares, or you may say 40 or 50,000 acres, housing can be provided to each and every person within the country. Likewise, when you look at the footprinting of land for industries, again, over there, the requirement of land for 10% CAGR in the industry is not more than something like 80,000 acres. That is because of the fact that a proper utilization of land will also ensure that we optimize, and thus we are in a position to manage all these things in a manner that is going to be suited to all. Apart from the government, central government, state governments, panchayats, all of them are having huge parcels of good lands which are not being used at all. When we look at the industries which are sitting on large parcels of land which they have acquired, or the educational institutions, or the temples, or work boards, or the others, you will have a similar kind of a picture. So from this, it emerges that if we allow utilization of wasted lands without changing the ownership, the trick is that we don't change the ownership at all. We only allow the change in use of that land. By that I mean, if the country needs affordable housing, country needs sports stadia, country needs, something like, say sheds for micro and small units, country needs some kind of health centers. These are permitted to be carried out on such parcels of wasted lands. Believe me or not, we can add plenty of heft to our GDP, because land per se does not get any kind of a reckoning in the GDP or the economic calculations. It is only when the land is converted into something which is going to be like housing or industries or in the shopping malls or something, that a GDP is kind of a thing that is getting added on. So wasted lands is one of the biggest opportunities that we found can be pragmatically handled. When we look at the wastelands, which is again much more in quantum, it is humongous in quantum, we will clearly find that there are a whole lot of opportunities. Now, what are they? 20% of land mass is supposed to be wastelands. Now, wastelands are there because of a variety of reasons, but we consider them to be wastelands because they cannot be put to a normal agricultural use. But if the wastelands are also tapped by utilizing the surplus manpower that we have got, by empowering the people to kind of carry out activities in a PPP mode on a kind of a lease for 5, 10 or 15 or 20 years, we can do a lot. Let me just give an example. Supposing there is a parcel of wasteland and water is harvested over there, ponds are built, and in that aquaculture is done, you can very well create employment and create economic opportunities. So this was one of the topics that was covered. Likewise, the second topic, say on which I would like to speak a few words is PPP for micro and small enterprises. I'm very happy that Professor Moni and this particular center are both working for the micro and small enterprises. Believe me or not, 99% of the enterprise in the country are falling into the micro category. We have got roughly 6.5 crore MSME units, out of which 99% are micro units. As you are all very well aware, there is a new definition of MSME in India. Micro enterprises are those having a turnover of up to 5 crores in a year and an investment in a plant and machinery to the tune of 1 crore. When you have got 25 crores turnover and have got 5 crores in plant and machinery, possibly you are called a small enterprise. And when you go up to 250 crores and 50 crores in investment, 250 crores turnover and 50 crores of investment, you are classified as a medium unit. Government itself has done the survey. MSME ministry also admits that nearly 99% of the enterprises are micro enterprises. Now look at the thinking of the government whenever they talk about PPP. I believe Niti Ayog's predecessor, Planning Commission, had done a kind of study on the type of PPPs that are suitable under the chairmanship of Mr. Vijay Kelkar. And in that, the conclusion was that PPP must be generally reserved or generally encouraged for the large enterprises. I beg to differ, and that is what came out, and it is there in this particular essay or article, PPP for MSME. We require public-private partnership everywhere. We require that in the villages, we require that in the towns, we require in the cities, we require various kinds of activities that are today being done satisfactorily or unsatisfactorily by the government bodies. And there are thus very big opportunities for involving micro and small enterprises. I talked just now about the wastelands. Now, supposing wasteland which is belong to the government is given to an individual or is given to a group of individuals, 5, 10, 15, 20 acres, and that is allowed to be exploited or you may say leveraged for a number of activities that we can probably decide. It could be animal husbandry, it could be sericulture, it could be aquaculture, it could be beekeeping, it could be for something like possibly aquaponics or hydroponics. I believe we can generate a whole lot of growth, a holistic growth in such places. So PPP in the for example, in these towns or the cities or maybe at other places, in the micro and the small segment is feasible, and it can become feasible or it can become pragmatic if the entire agreement is structured in a very simple manner. Believe me or not, due to pressures from the wonderful legal experts from all over the world and within our own country, we make the agreements extremely complex, and that is why drafting on to probably adherence and the justice delivery systems, they are awfully expensive. In my opinion, the legal agreements can be very simple, can be 1 pager, can be 2 pager, not more than that, which is going to capture the essence of the responsibilities of the two sides, obviously authorities of the two sides, and dispute resolution mechanism, jurisdiction. All these things can be done in such a simple manner that anybody who is probably thinking of providing some service or the other, it could be in terms of maybe healthcare, it can be in terms of some other education, training, waste management, you may say Swachh Bharat, etc., etc. There are a plethora of opportunities which can be opened up for the people within this country, and they can really create value which can be shared between the private partner and the public partner. This is maybe something which can be done across the country, and it will involve two things. First of all, simple simple agreements, simple maybe structures, simple dispute resolution mechanism, and believe me or not, it can be a game changer, and it can also lend to the self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat. Third, topic that I would like to draw your attention is obviously on bringing India, the non-organized dairy farmers, into mainstream by Professor Tushar Shah. We know very well that we have got roughly roughly 30 to 35 crore cattle. I mean, we have got 30 to 35 cows and buffaloes which are producing something like gobar every day. We are having a utilization of this gobar only to the tune of 1%. 99% is not optimally utilized. If we are able to create value chain around gobar by way of biogas, manure, organic fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, believe me or not, it can be a very holistic model for giving extra income to the farmers. As we are now noticing, small and marginal farmers are the ones who are also there into the category of the unorganized dairy farmers. Larger farmers are definitely not the ones who possibly look at it as a source for extra income, but a small to marginal farmer who is now keeping cows or buffaloes to add to his income. And if the statistics are any indication, there are very large number of people who are having 2 to 3 such animals, and they are the ones who can be put together in a kind of a cooperative which can be there for the organic fertilizer. So one of the articles, apart from Tushar Shah's, has been contributed by Mr. Minesh Shah, who is currently the managing director of NDDB. NDDB has been able to demonstrate that it is possible for decentralized biogas production by the members of the milk cooperative, and the slurry of such biogas plants can be collected in another cooperative for such the fertilizer, and then be processed and brought out as things like PROM, phosphate reinforced organic manure, and others, which is today fetching an excellent value. The payback period for such a thing is not more than 1.5 to 2 years, and this has been amply demonstrated by Mr. Minesh Shah in his article, which is there in this particular anthology. Fourth thing which I would like to highlight is the conversion of fly ash into a resource material. As we are all very well aware, fly ash is a waste product that is coming out of the thermal power plants, and it was indeed a menace, and it was a major headache for the government from the environmental angle until 15 or 20 years. Fly ash mission was created, and Dr. Vimal Kumar was the director of this fly ash mission, and by very, I would say, calibrated and by systematic work, fly ash was found to be an excellent substitute for clinker in the cement, and a whole lot of cement products and the manufacture of cement has got fly ash to the tune of 25 to 30%, which is mitigating the pollution menace while creating value for the people who are producing this particular waste material. But a very interesting thing that I would like to highlight today, Professor Moni, is the use of fly ash in agriculture. There is already abundant work done by organizations like NTPC and others to show that by use of fly ash in agriculture and horticulture, you achieve on a sustainable basis 15 to 20% growth in most of the crops. It could be rice, it could be wheat, it could be fruits, it could be pulses. Everywhere 15 to 20% growth is possible. If it is used in the forestry, if it is used in the forest, again over there we can have a tremendous amount of increase without say a further investment. It is only required of us to take this fly ash to the agriculture or horticulture, make it available, showcase say the practices that are required to be followed, use the technology for demonstrating how the implementation be done, and we definitely can have an exceptional growth in the economic terms, while also reducing the environmental kind of impact or environmental pollution. Fifth thing that I would like to mention is digital literacy for India. I'm supposed to be, a person with around 50 years of experience, and most of us in our age group, 50, 60, 70, are digitally illiterate. I'm digitally illiterate because I use even an instrument like mobile to the tune of 1 or 2%. I'm not able to use. Now we have got people within the country who are supposed to be engineers, who are supposed to be, say, IT specialists, people, who are skilled, in IT applications. Now these people can be given a business model for providing digital literacy to the required target groups. It could be senior citizens, could be housewives, could be children, different groups. Very simple programs can be made to enhance the utilization of various kinds of digital assets that are available with us and using the digital technology. This is something, which is very vital in light of the work that is being done by the Center of Excellence like CIDSA and CITSA and the others, and obviously by Shobhit University and others. Simple programs, simple you can say workshops for digital literacy across the country can be converted into excellent business models. So there are, as I said, there are 75 articles. I have just cited 5 or 6, but my own thinking is that each one of them can be a fountainhead, can be a source for many sustainable enterprises. I must tell you that under ITF, the goal is to take up the programs for implementation which are satisfying a 5S framework: simple, smart, sensible, sustainable, and scalable or spreadable. When these 5 things are appearing to be satisfying, then there is a need for doing the piloting and then taking it further to spread or to scale it up. In this context, I would like to very clearly say that when I talk about 5S and sustainability, I'm talking about sustainability without any subsidy or a grant in the long run. It can be some help in the beginning, but subsidies or grants are not a part of evaluating the sustainability of a given idea or a project. From these discussions, I must also share with you the common thoughts that emerged. The first is resource or capacity utilization. If we start looking at the resource or capacity utilization, we will get a very different perspective. I talked about wasted lands and I talked about wastelands. But the very same thing is true even for sewage, for example. Or if we are talking about water, we are talking about energy. Everywhere we need to look at the resource or capacity utilization. Second important thing is to look at both demand side and supply side. If you look only at supply side, we will be creating a whole lot of capabilities and assets which may not have a demand. You must be all hearing about design centricity, and design centricity comes from demand centricity, or it comes from demand side management. Let me maybe illustrate to you the kind of work that energy efficiency organizations have done worldwide. I'm coming say from a background in the buildings, and therefore I would like to tell you that the energy requirement for keeping premises in Germany comfortable round the year was, let's see, 100, 30, 35 years back. It has been brought down to 10 now, or it may be brought down to now 5. How this has been done? It is because of a very systematic look at the way the demand can itself be reduced, and then secondly, to move forward for efficiencies or conservations at various levels, and thereby bring down the overall requirement itself. Resource efficiency is extremely important, and as Professor Moni said, I am very fond of homeopathy. I am a passionate believer in homeopathy. That is because of the fact that homeopathy is the greenest medicinal science. It is resource efficient, it is energy efficient, it is eco-friendly, and lastly, it improves health. So the point is, resource efficiency is something which we have to now pursue very vigorously. That will mean many, many good things for us. The third, obviously, thing is, how do we implement a principle called 4R or 5R? How do we reuse, recycle, recover, recreate the different kinds of materials? Let me give an example about Israel. I remember reading a book called Let There Be Water by Seth Siegel. Israel has been very, very deficient in water, we all know very well, but they have become water surplus for the required applications. Apart from the models that they followed, the last model requires a specific mention, and that is the reuse of sewage after suitable treatment. Around 10 years back, they started persuading people to go in for treated sewage usage in agriculture. In the beginning, there was a lot of resistance, correctly so, but then the authorities and the other private people, they all got together to explain to the farming community, to the farming bodies, that the treated sewage has got nutrients and nutritional materials and fertilizer value. So when you put the two together, the water and the nutritional value, it may turn out to be beneficial to the farmers. It may mean reduction of fertilizers. It may mean reduction of the micronutrients that are to be given, and then to look at the yield. The net result was that in a few years, Israel became deficient in treated sewage. Today, it fetches a higher value than even the RO water in the agriculture. So this is the kind of a thing which is possible if you are able to go for a proper 4R or 5R principle. We have been, of course, talking about the waste management, but let me be very honest with you, it is not really going very, very far. The fourth thing is that we have to really review the reductionist thinking. I mean, last 200 or 300 years, we are going for a Cartesian thinking. Everywhere it is the reductionist, Newtonian or Cartesian thinking. And that has its own the problems. I believe that we have to go back to some of the thought processes that were prevalent in India. And I guess if we probe deeper, we will find that integrative, holistic thinking was the governing thought process or philosophy in Sanatan India or ancient India, or you call Hindu India. I remember reading a book called Hindu Economics by Dr. M.G. Bokhare. I would recommend that everybody reads. It brings out very clearly the difference between the modern economic or scientific thought process and what the Sanatan or the Hindu, we call Hindu or Sanatan or ancient India thought process. Just a simple example, which say will support what I'm saying, and that is with respect to the patents and the copyrights and the intellectual properties. In India, the sages at that point of time, the thinkers at that point of time, around 2, 3, 4,000 years ago, professed and advised that if the knowledge is created, that knowledge must be made available to the humanity, to the community, and it should be spread so that benefits of created knowledge is available to everybody. And that obviously gels very, very well with the Shubh Labh philosophy that India enunciated and followed at that point of time. Shubh Labh, which means that you obviously create wealth, you make profits, but that profit has to be ethical and has to be good for all. I would like to share the thought process on this because of the fact that these days we are equating profit maximization with capitalism, or you may say the modern economic thought. In India, as against the so-called pure profits or Shuddha Labh philosophy that is governing our lives today, we had Shubh Labh, which was, you may say, ethical profits, or you may say Kalyankari profit, or you may say something, is good for all. Those are bigger and a more lofty a concept, more comprehensive a concept than even the 3 Ps that, say, many of the thinkers talk about, which is taking care of planet, planet, people, and profit. 3P bottom line is a very narrow concept as against Shubh Labh. So, integrated and holistic approach was something, say, that was there earlier, and that is something which is going to be appropriate, and this is what came out. Hard-nosed and pragmatic approach from policy to action. We have got wonderful policies. Believe me or not, our programs on paper are really laudable. The problem is with implementation. When we do not look at the implementation and we do not look at sustainability on their own without subsidies or grants forever, we will have a very, very different model. We will certainly be able to come up with something that is going to be good, wherein we don't depend on government chakar or supports all the time. I must share with you that one of the discussions, one of the articles was around a simple thing, and that was costing to be an integral part of all the projects. We have forgotten costing. We have forgotten that costing is the basis of every economic activity. If we don't know the cost, we cannot determine the price. If we don't know the price and cost is the difference, we don't know how much surplus or how much deficit will be there. So costing has to become an integral part. So this kind of an absolutely hard-nosed, pragmatic, I would say, approach is something that will be there. As I have already told you that subsidies may be there for a year or two, but there has to be calibrated reduction of subsidy in predefined years to make people strong, to make people sashakt, to make people think that they can do on their own without all kinds of external supports. So there has to be either no subsidy, or if subsidy or grant has to be given, there has to be a pathway. There has to be a kind of a program that in 5 years such subsidies will be withdrawn, and that the enterprises or say the organizations that are running, they will all be following that. We have been exposed to a very important, very great maxim. Gita talks about it. At other places, we talk about it, and that is yoga karmasu kaushalam. I sometimes they find Lord Krishna or Gita to be the most pragmatic book. When Lord Krishna says that you strive for excellence, you do the work in the best possible manner, but do not bother about the results. Results are not within your control. It is obviously an affirmation of a pragmatism. When we are doing the work, thinking that we are doing extremely well, we really do not know what can be the forces that will twist the result. So the result is something which has got thousands of forces acting without, and when we are doing the work, the forces acting within are responsible. So Lord Krishna has exhorted all of us not to to care, or not to be bothered about the results, but continue to strive for excellence. And that is what yoga karmasu kaushalam, in everything when we start looking at excellence, that itself is going to change the work ethic, that is going to change the culture, and that is going to to obviously take us to a greater height. I would also like to to link what Peter Drucker, for example, the greatest the management doyen, says that 90% or 95% of the results are not within our control. When somebody like Peter Drucker or his ilk talk about it, it is a reflection of our Gita, wherein we are told that we should work, we should continue to work diligently, intelligently, but we should not really be deterred and disturbed by the results. And last but not the least, as I mentioned earlier, the society has to move towards obviously the Shubh Labh mode. Believe me or not, this is the paradigm which Dattopanji has talked about. This is what, in my opinion, even Chanakya has exhorted. Professor Siag has brought it out very, very well, that profits by themselves shorn of or divorced from ethics and environment are not correct. They have to be ethical, and that is what is also gelling very, very well, synchronizing with our four purushas: dharma, arth, kam, moksha. When we talk about dharma and earth is, say, obviously the wealth creation or profit, say, making activity, but it is preceded, it is required to be taken with dharma. Dharma in this context and in our old Indian context, believe me or not, did not mean religion, it meant ethical. So ethical profits is, as a matter of fact, a part of Vedic India, it's a part of Sanatan India, and everything else that we are talking about is a deflection from this. So dharma, arth, kama, moksha, likewise shubha, likewise the ethical profits is something, say, that we have to be probably looking at. Since Shobhit University and Professor Moni are doing exceedingly great work in the field of agriculture, and there is a need to not double but increase or enhance the incomes of the farmers. There are a few ideas that emerged, and I would like to talk to you about that. First of all, we are today facing crisis on account of the agricultural models, the food models that we have followed. We had millets in the good old days, and there was a reason, to obviously grow millets, eat millets, consume millets, because millets are now found to be great in terms of micronutrients and nutritional elements. Millets do not require much water. If you require 5,000 liters of water for growing 1 kilo of rice, possibly in 200 liters, you can grow millets. Millets grow on obviously substandard or sub-quality soils, and therefore, if millets are also made a part and parcel of whatever agricultural activities we are doing, we will be able to contribute a lot. And people need, to be sensitized. 2023 is declared to be the millets year. Recently, say, I came across some publications, even from the PMO and from the other places. So when we look at energy, water, agriculture, food, nutrition, fertilizer, health and environment, you can say octopad, we will certainly find that millets can be big booster for the incomes of the farmers, for the health of the nation. Second thing is the medicinal plants. In the corona times or even earlier, we found the value of general immunity. Vaccines are meant for specific immunity, whereas there are all kinds of activities that are meant for enhancing general immunity. Medicinal plants like giloy, tulsi, ashwagandha, these are the things that can be grown across the country, not everywhere, but looking at the say soil climatic conditions, they can be grown using the old knowledge, new knowledge. They can be grown hydroponically, they can be grown aquaponically, they can be grown maybe on maybe the soils, they can be grown in say in the greenhouses, and this is something which can be really very helpful. Second thing is obviously giving a big support to all types of allied activities. Though I must say that this is happening. So dairying, poultry, fisheries, and this in this wasted lands, these can again be very useful. There is no need to transfer the ownership, but allow the people to work on them for a number of such activities which are going to add a lot of value, which are going to give excellent incomes to the farmers. Small and marginal farmers can all come together in the kind of the formats that we are talking about. They could be cooperative, or they can be FPO or some other structures, because growing, or you may say producing, is one part of the business activity. Once you have produced and grown, it has to be properly packaged, properly distributed, properly marketed, and properly priced. Only then you are in a position to enhance. So this is something which can be done very, very well if we are able to think in terms of using all the wasted resources and resources at our level. Third thing, that I would like to share is renewable energy-based microgrids. As I mentioned, we have got maybe 35 crore animals who are producing gobar. We've got gaushalas, we have got panjara poles. Technology for producing biogas and from biogas to electricity is something that is very well known to us. It's a kind of common open source technology. If we are in a position to create microgrids which can be there in gaushalas, panjara poles, village cooperatives, combining biogas and solar is something that is very easy. If we are looking at the energy scenario today, renewables are cheaper than the fossils. So there is no need to only think about large power plants. It is worthwhile thinking about decentralized distributed microgrids, specifically using gobar or using animal waste, or talking about say solar, putting them together, we can have economic models that are sustainable on their own if it is applied for the enterprises. If it is given to the say small local rural enterprises, it will be something that will be empowering them, because energy or power is the first requirement. If it is available during the day when the enterprises are working and which is feasible through such microgrids, we can transform. I must also maybe share with you that only recently Government of India and the others have done the demand side survey for energy requirement or power requirement for rural enterprises. And what they found is something that will be very, very interesting and pleasing to you. Rural enterprises, majority of them do not require 24/7 power. They require power from 10 o'clock in the morning to maybe 7 or 8 in the evening. That is feasible. So we are in a position to marry the demand side along with the supply side by doing this. And again, economic models which can become very easily doable and implementable. Fourth thing is that we have got skill councils. We have been talking about on skilling ministry. Believe me or not, skilling for agriculture is as much needed as for IT. Skilling for building, say, crafts is needed for the country as much as, say, some superior, maybe artificial intelligence or other, say, things. So skilling even for simple trades, skilling for simple so-called low-tech kind of activities is also called for. Open source technology and obviously all the tools that are there with us can make this easily possible, because we could have skilling in blended form. We could have 80% skilling done online, 20% done offline. I mean, we look at, say plumbing or something else. There are all kinds of things that can be passed on, that can be given, and then the people who are able to say to help with the hands and to allow say the manual skilling can be done on site. So manual, you may say the online, everything can be put together to create a battery of, or create a large band of skilled manpower for a variety of activities which is needed not only in this country but at many other places. I personally think that this is feasible, and this is something which had also come out during our deliberations, and this is something that is possible. And lastly, digital literacy, as I said, is something which is badly needed. Most, I would say acutely needed, because we may be exposed to the technology, but by and large, people like us, most of us are digitally illiterate, and therefore something like that is done. So in conclusion, I wish to say that we are still suffering from colonization on financial. I did not, say maybe talk about the way the people who are rich and powerful are controlling the world. But this is the hard truth. Offshore tax havens do not have any logic, do not have any justification to exist, but they are there to help the old colonizers to continue their domination. Something so that may be possibly not known to you, that even in the US or the UK or Singapore, Dubai, there are centers which are facilitating such evasion, such drainage of wealth, even of say the American citizens or the other citizens. A place called Delaware has got such a law that in one small shop of 10 feet by 10 feet, 3 lakh companies are registered. And large multinational companies are diverting their profit through such centers to a zero level from near zero level. Now, that particular thing is something which we need to be very careful about, because it is not only say in this domain, but you look at the international organizations, WHO, WTO, you find controlled by similar bodies. WHO, for example, has been doing a commendable work, but believe me or not, it is not transparent, it is not an honest kind of a setup. I have talked at many platforms, many places. The WHO, which is serving 140 crore people of India, does not have a sizable office presence, infrastructure, and manpower to serve us. What they are giving us are kinds of extensions of the work that have been done outside for the forces that are financing WHO, because WHO gets more than 50% of their funding from the private enterprises. So it is not, as a matter of fact, allowing an open source of work, open source work. As you would have recently read, I think day before yesterday, Government of India has cleared a vaccine from biological events. That particular vaccine was developed in Texas by say 2 people, and they have put it as an open source vaccine. Once you have open source vaccine, we will be in a position to make such vaccines available to people at very very reasonable cost, and thereby afford this kind of a specific immunity that is desirable in the present context. So we are we are definitely controlled by forces which are from outside of India, and they are continuing to dominate the entire technology space. We went in for so-called liberalization in 1991. Please look at the record of the kind of technologies where we have had a breakthrough. Even today, all the technologies are coming from outside. There's a big drain of funds for buying those technologies or using those technologies. We are not in a very healthy and a comfortable position over there. And last but not the least, I would like to say that we have to think intelligently. If we have to use our own vivek, we have to use our own discretion, and thereafter decide what is good and what is not good. But above all, we have to work very diligently. Each one of us, I mean, the citizens, the government, the private enterprises, all of us have to work very hard. We have to work diligently, and that too on a consistent and a constant basis, to make India self-reliant, Atmanirbhar, confident, strong, and prosperous. So I once again wish to thank Professor Moni, Shobhit University, Center of Excellence, and obviously AARDO, Africa, Asia Rural Development Organization, who have patiently heard my views, and I'll be very, very glad to connect to like-minded organizations for a joint effort in this direction. Thank you very, very much, and very happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Shri Satyanarayan, Banwarilal, Dangayach, for your very innovative, purposeful, address to the audience, to the research scholars, through the startups, and various interested participants from both from India and abroad. And the topic itself is very important, and it was delivered by a very important person who has seen the problems and opportunities in a very pragmatic way. And I'm very lucky today to host you, to interact with you in a very important topic, which you said it that if you would like to go down to the village level, you have to think everything in a practical manner, pragmatic ways. And the last one which you said it that, then the thing is that you need to have a rural enterprises. Rural enterprises is of visualization of rural enterprises is of different, stature. It is not it's something like a black box approach. And this is an important thing today, that you gave all those, based on evidences and information available in from ancient India. This our curriculum should teach this to, to include all those things, that. And the many things which you said it, that even though this webinar series is a 57th edition, and we also run another webinar series that is called National Webinar Series on Doubling Farmers' Income. You also included, because Atmanirbhar Bharat is in general, and there it is Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture. But in your talk, you also talked about the ways to increase income. You have said it's more than doubling the farmers' income. There are a lot of things, ways and means. You have talked about it. And it is an important thing which you said it, that how we are not utilizing the resources available with us, wasteland and wasted land. And you can see that all the people who don't have houses, it can be given. And then you need to have a PPP model for MSMEs. And 89%, about 99% of these MSMEs are, in micro enterprises. And now, as per the new classifications, that, this is micro enterprises, that either in the terms of investment or in terms of, annual, revenue generation, it's like a big company. It's a big corporate. Micro enterprises should be run like corporates, with all the business discipline. They need to have a value chain. That's the reason only that after my retirement, when this university invited me to participate, I thought the rural economy is the fulcrum for India's economy. And if a rural economy has to be stabilized, it has to grow. There are three sectors: agriculture, small scale industries, SMEs, and the health sector. Finance and education has to be the common denominator. But if agriculture, 14.5 crores operational holders and 63 million SMEs, which is that whether you classify as micro enterprises or small enterprises or medium enterprises, if they are not, if there is no, if the technology doesn't facilitate them, where are we? That's why I thought that it is better to literate, empower them through technology. That's why these 5 centers of excellence have been created. This is the only university, private university in the whole world to focus on rural India, rural economy through technology, promotion. And this is, I'm very happy that you talked about very important area. It is think and act. There are a lot of thought leaders, but the thing is that as a man of practical nature, a man who would like to see the last mile connectivity, and your forum talks about think and act. And it is not only stop with the round table. You have published it, and all the 12 areas which you talked about are very important. And I'll be very happy that with if your forum and the centers of excellence of the Shobhit Institute of Engineering Technology, like Ardo has joined. It is a 33 member country. It's an African Asian Rural Development Organization. They thought that it is worthwhile to associate with the Shobhit Institute of Engineering Technology during the COVID-19 pandemic, to participate in this program, so that the message is very clear to all the participants, all the stakeholders and shareholders, to get into the how to make created knowledge available to the people. You said it, in one of your talk, you use the sentence, how to disseminate the created knowledge. Today, created knowledges are in the shelf of various universities. We have 1,500 universities, 10,000 engineering colleges, and we have 750 districts, and none of the educational institutions, whether IITs or NITs or IIMs or AIMS or 10,000 engineering colleges or 1,500 universities or even 100 ICR institutions or 650 KVKs or about 650 Atma centers, agriculture technology management agencies, that they were nowhere near to bring in a long, a development plan for 6.25 lakhs villages. So, that 75 years we are celebrating now Azatika Amrut Mahotsav. And that's why I quoted the topic of Mr. Chandra Pillai, that why can't we create acropolitan like a micropolitans? Why can't we have an acropolitans where smart village and smart community will create through the fulcrum is smart farming? It is happening under the SDG goals of UN, starting from Senegal to Ethiopia. They are creating like a great wall. China has created a great wall. Now they are working from 2016, Great Green Wall. And the sub-Saharan, desert, where it is considered as a Saheli region, it's considered as the world's poorest region. So they wanted to convert as a green area, clean green area. So India has got about, it's equivalent to about 29, it's around 29 states and another 7, union territories, that different culture, different administrative styles, and, 127 agroclimatic zones and 15 agroclimatic region, 365 days sun rays available, and more than 400 agriculture climate, commodities. We don't have a digitally empowered, even a single agriculture commodity value chain, starting from the producer to the table. And why it is not happening? This is why I thought that your lecture, your address, your the round table discussions is very much meaningful, and it has to be taught in universities, if not in the colleges, because universities are higher educational status, and they are supposed to do not the run of the mill type of systems to produce only clerks for the government. And that is a Western educational system. British on those days, the educational system, still we have not changed our aspect. That what is needed from the bottom of how to use the resource which is available to us, land resources. We don't know. There is no natural resource accounting and natural resource management, natural resource planning. It is not happening. We have a resource remote sensing technology, and we have 250 colleges who teach geography. When I was in service, I was in a committee with the Department of Space. There was a meeting how to spread technology through the remote sensing, with the remote sensing technology. I requested that why don't Department of Space adopt 250 colleges who teach geography to promote. And the geography is being taught in both public funded colleges and private funded colleges. And the immediate reaction was from some of the members are that those geography they do not teach under that geography discipline physics and mathematics. Before I react, before my reaction, the chairman of ISRO, is Mr. Madhav Nair. He said that we will write to UGC to change the curriculum of geography, and how to, so that we can utilize these geography disciplines effectively from these 250 colleges for promotion of space technology. So, but afterwards, when the minutes came, the people changed it, and I refused to sign it. That was the story. It needs that technology enablement, technology empowerment, at 6.25 lakhs villages are essential. And the rural enterprises, micro enterprises, digitalization, digital transformation of micro enterprises are essential. And digital agriculture 4.0 of 14.5 crore operation holders are essential. Recommended 7 for the last 35 years from the district level computerization program. I ended up in promoting digitalization in agriculture sector because I have traveled a long journey previously as an single man mission. But now the thing is that with the Atmanirbhar Bharat and with the university platform, I'm in a position to travel much faster. So I think my request will be that Shri Satyanarayan ji, that how we can work together with the 5 centers of excellence here and also your forum to adopt districts, adopt villages, adopt block, and how to create. My mission is that whether the government wants it or government doesn't want it, even 715 districts, I have been voicing that when a government can every year about 2,000 crores go, is being made available to the each district, and we need to have a CEO to convert every year this 2,000 crores money which goes to the district has to be as a base fund to be developed more for the people of the district. And this it needs you need a political economy cannot be dictated as the national economy in general. It is one component. And so district 750 district should be considered as a developmental unit, autonomous unit, and also that how the government grant, apart from other things which goes as a 2,000 crores minimum per district, how to be utilized properly for a long-term development of the each district. And 6.25 lakhs villages has to become like an micro enterprises, and every aspect, agriculture, health, education, industries, and trade, and every household has to become, and which they are anyway doing some economic activity, has to be identified, and the service should reach them with the internet which is available. We call it as a Bharat net. When the Bharat net is going to reach every house and use that facility as the generation of economic activity, which is happening, in China has about 3 lakh skill centers, and how many skill centers we have in India? And we need to have at least we have the common services centers and so on and so forth. And common services centers has to be common skill centers, and this is where is needed. And the migration, rural migration to urban area has to be stopped. And every village, I quoted one of the talk by Mr. Ashutosh Putamkar. He talked about Vivekananda, mega education project, and he said that all schools with good facilities has to come in villages, so that teachers will stay in the residential area, in the school in villages, like in Western countries, and they will develop, and they need not move to cities. So these are all important things that I thought that I should share with you. But you talked about very effectively once again for the to the benefit of our participants. I would like to reiterate very important points which you talked about in your talk. You talked about the about many roundtable discussions organized by your thought forum, and the Swadeshi Jagaran March on to make India stronger, and the area of foreign trade. And another very important thing which you talked about is internal trade and e-commerce. It is very essential. Anything which is produced in the village has to go not as a raw material. It has to go as a processed material. processed produce. And internal trade and e-commerce is very important. And then health and wellness, and skilling and employment, and then environment and climate change, energy and water, and then farming, fertilizer and foods. And technology can ensure optimal nutrition in soil. It is needed. If the soil is not healthy, the minerals of soil controls the metabolism of animal, human, man, and plant. So that soil health has to be healthy. And that's why I have been propagating integrated farm health management, human health, for plant health, animal health, soil health, water health, fish health, and environment health. You also talked about very effectively, and land and infrastructure, and technology and entrepreneurship. And all the articles which you mentioned, it is very important. Utilization of wasted lands. I think based on your top utilization of wastelands and PPP for MSMEs, and bringing India's unorganized dairy farmers into mainstream, I also initiated a dairy informatics network value chain, fisheries informatics network value chain, working on each district one agriculture commodity value chain. And then fly ash as a resource material and digital literacy for India. It is very important. It can be a 5-action plan, can be initiated, can be taken up from between your forum and Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology very effectively. And you also said it quoted from things that from Bhagavad Gita, yoga karmasu kausalyam. That is, I looked into internet, and my knowledge in Sanskrit is very limited, and it says yoga is excellence at work. Yoga is excellence at work. I don't know whether it is an appropriate translation or not. I do not know. And another your very important message is that let us work on ethical profit. That is Subla. And this is very important, motivating society. And all your talk, waste reduction. I send you a paper which I work on it. I wanted to, because my district, I come from Kanyakumari district, which produces more than 25 varieties of banana. And that banana doesn't even reach Delhi, but they're all trying to export it to America. That is the situations which our policy talks about it. And banana waste, we have 684 crore plant every year. After cutting the fruit, it's wasted. Each plant can give 50 rupees. It means that 684 crore into 50 rupees is equivalent to about 13,000 crores per annum we waste it from banana, one commodity. It can generate a lot of wealth, a lot of rural employment. Why the policy makers in government from district level to central government is not even looking into that one commodity, banana fibers? Some countries like Philippines produce banana plant only for fiber, and fine fiber is made for paper, currency note paper, and banana fiber for clothes, and it is for climate resilient. It's much better than linen cloth. And why can't we do it? And it can generate a lot of employment opportunities. One startup from Gujarat, and I have associated him, and then we prepared a paper, and I would like to bring in Banana Technology Park, International Center for Banana Technology Park in India, so that that all the tropic countries who grow banana should, Indian center can become an resource center for them. Banana alone can give lot of wealth to the people. And you said it, waste is not a waste until it is wasted, and it can generate resources like anything. So, sir, you said it that that feasible action, boost to millets and medicinal plants, boost to allied activities like dairy, poultry, fisheries, sericulture, renewable energy based microgrids, for rural enterprises, skilling for agriculture allied activities, digital literacy for enabling use of technology. So we will be very, I'll be very happy to have an appropriate association with your, thought forum, and let
Sure,
us
sure.
work together and then move. With this, I would like to thank everybody, and I would like to listen to you for your, concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Professor Moni. I'm really, feeling delighted that on the first day of this new year, I am getting a chance to share my thoughts and take part in an activity which is indeed path-breaking and laudable. I, I think that we will pick up a few activities where we will work together and then showcase them by way of implementation. How they can be scaled up or spread. So there are a lot of great ideas which I could say gather from a variety of such webinars and such seminars that you have had, and you are yourself an extremely committed and a passionate proponent for the upliftment of small to marginal farmers and micro and small enterprises. I am personally also working in a similar space, and therefore I would be indeed looking forward to interacting with you and picking up a few on which we can work together. And I'm also part of organizations like EDII, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, where I'm a resource person, with whose collaboration I have created this particular course which is called Vyapar Sutra. Vyapar Sutra is something which is a Hindi or Devanagari version of micro MBA for micro enterprises. My thought process was that our wonderful management schools and colleges from IIM Ahmedabad I passed out, I have found that they don't create entrepreneurs. They are creating managers or babus. We are supposed to be creating excellent managers. That means we have to work for somebody else and show them the path for optimization. But when it comes to an entrepreneurial talent nurturing, I find practically all the management the schools deficient on that, and that prompted me to think in terms of something which will be welcome by micro enterprises, because micro enterprises are never going to be in a position to engage or take graduates of these management schools who are generally going for very, very fanciful jobs. And that is where picked up say the term Vyapar Sutra. Business is Vyapar, management is formula for success. So Sutra, Vyapar Sutra is a small course of 15 lectures or 16 lectures, followed by mentorship, free mentorship for 1 year. So Vyapar Sutra gives the essential components of what business is, what costing is, what accounting is, what marketing is, what brand building is, and thereafter help aspiring entrepreneur to secure help from various mentors. So the tagline for this particular course, which is now in the evolution, is if you are in business or want to do business, Vyapar Sutra is a must for you. So it is to kind of support the micro entrepreneurial activity across the country in a medium, in a language, in a format which can be followed, understood, assimilated by a school pass out. 12 pass out is the requirement for this. 12 pass out can go for Vyapar Sutra, and they can have the benefit of associating with a very large number of people who want to help the society. And under ITF banner, we have got a concept called Gurukul. So gurus are the ones who are not willing to give free of cost their time, their efforts, their knowledge to the Shishyas. So Gurukul format. I am maybe very village centric or vernacular language centric. So I have termed the word incubator as Gurukul in our Indian tradition. Incubator is not a correct word, sir. Incubator means a place where you incubate, and incubation is needed by a child who otherwise will not survive. From there, you are bringing incubators in business, arena, and saying that people should go to incubators. I would say that they should go to gurukuls, where is gurus are available, waiting, say, to help the shishyas after proper diligence, and then an association which can be helpful to one and all. So these are my passing remarks. I would be very, very glad to connect with the wonderful institutions that you created, and I would try my small, you can say effort, whatever I can contribute. I'll feel very happy, because ITF is a trust. It is working purely as a charitable trust to help, as I told you, to help people to think and to come up with models which will be suited to India, and to help, as I said, micro enterprises, small to marginal farmers in an effective way, pilot suitable things for them, build, the business models around that, give it, say, free of cost to every aspiring person, because I have got this innate, thinking that knowledge must be free. So knowledge-free society and free knowledge society is what comes to my mind, and that obviously means open source. So free knowledge, open source are more or less synonyms. So I think, I am very much in sync. I'm very much consonant, with your thinking, and I am a strong proponent for open source knowledge, open source technology, open source models. So thank you very much once again. And I think on an auspicious day like this, on a good day like this, it's a great start for all of us. Thank you.
Satyanarayan ji, it is very nice, and purposefully, on the New Year day, 1st January 2022, I thought that I should schedule your talk and then let the message go very clear to the whole country. And it's very important that I understand that many of the policymakers will be watching this talk, and they should watch. And it is a whatever they do it, the first two words are more important: pragmatic base. That's why I took the various words as from the thesaurus, that what this word means. And that meaning is that many things which is like a rural India is different meaning to different people. That's why let us put it. So I thought that let us put the different words which are giving this meaning for pragmatic. So it is reasonable, it is a head-hearted, hard-nosed, and no nonsensical way. And it is it has to be logical, and so on and so forth, need-based, location-specific, and so on and so forth. So I think we can achieve a lot through cooperation, and collectivism. It's very important. And today talk, I am very happy that today the 57th edition, there can be a landmark edition for making India stronger through Atmanirbhar Bharat program. And on completion of 54 edition of both the webinar series, which amounted to 54 plus 54, 108, our university conducted a national conference in person. Then we had enough virtual. So we had about 60 people with the social distancing in La Meridian on December 11th. The title was National Conference on Strengthening the Vision of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, through knowledge creation by webinar series, national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022. It is his clarion call. And then another one is that international webinar series on open source digital technology for self-reliant India. So it was well attended, and we were very happy about it. Now we'll also have another 54 plus 54, that it will come to 216. And it is every week. I'm very happy that people like you voluntarily taken our time to participate it. And today it has gone more than 2 hours discussion, and it will attract people. And let us work together, make India stronger. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to close the webinar. And I thank all the participants. And on the first day of this new year, 2022. And greetings from Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology. For more research inquiries, please contact Professor Moni Maraswamy, Professor Emeritus, Chairman, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Application, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Application, and former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, New Delhi. My email ID is moni@shobhituniversity.ac.in. Greetings are from the Honorable Chancellor, Shobhit Institute of Engineering Technology, and His Excellency Secretary General, African Asian Rural Development Organization. We close the webinar and leave the studio. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.